Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Cast and Chill. We're here on the Golden Fork River, the Mistwood. You can tell it is misty out here. Things are looking chill. There's a deer? I didn't even spot the deer up there. I've talked about in the past about how I do prefer like the early morning and evening out on a lake. It always feels very calm. I think we're gonna go Maple Scout. Let's scout out what's down below. It always feels very calm on a lake. It's my preferred time, and it tends to be less hot. New species. This guy, I was gonna say that guy over there, the palefish, looks like it has to be a new species, right? Wacky worm? You guys like the wacky worm? That guy likes the wacky worm. We've discovered 4 new fish, apparently. Oh, come on. You liked the wacky worm. And now you don't like the wacky worm? Today we're going to talk about Japan. To change subjects abruptly. Let's check out our fish here. But last year when it was the fall time, my wife and I went to Japan for the first time, and the only time so far, but I'd love to go back. But we're going to talk about my experience with Japan, my interest in Japan. So we have a spoon bait for the burbot, rare. We've got the creek chub spinner bait, drop shot for the shorthead red horse, and then the spinner bait for steelhead trout, and then an unknown beast. Look at that thing. It's like a spinefish. Let's start with the spoon bait. Where's my spoon bait? Small, heavy. I think we go for the small. It's medium and large. So last fall we went to Japan, and it was a lot of fun. If you're at all interested in going to Japan, I would highly, highly recommend it. I would say, to be fully honest, it was kind of intimidating at first. Mostly before we even went, because I was like, come on, you two. There we go, into the boat. Perfect. Oh, that was the steelhead. I thought that was the burbot. Wrong I was. What is that big fish? I don't know what that big fish is. Are you a burbot too, but you're bigger? It looks like a burbot. I wonder if I have to jump up to the heavy spoon bait and see if I can go for the big burbot. So Japan is really, really intimidating, at least at first, for English speakers. Maybe not so much for like Europeans who have, learned multiple languages in the past. Aha! I got his attention. But for Americans who only know English, it's kind of intimidating going to a place where the primary language is so far removed from English. The nice thing about Japan is there are a lot of people that speak English very well. Mostly the older generation is the one that you might run into some trouble as far as people not knowing what you're trying to say. But everybody in Japan is super, super nice. So if you're, especially if you look white or not, just not Japanese in general, they're just going to assume you don't know Japanese. So if you speak any Japanese at all, they're kind of happy to like experience that. Obviously it doesn't apply to everybody, but in my experience, when I spoke Japanese to people, they were kind of like, oh, that's nice. Look at this young gentleman speaking Japanese to me. Konnichiwa is hello. That'll get you very far with a lot of people. Arigato gozaimasu. That's thank you very much. Say that to everything. When in doubt, just kind of bow and nod. It works. Into the boat. New steelhead. Maybe those bigger fish are steelhead. They seem to have gone, the bigger fish. The one thing that's another thing besides the language barrier being intimidating, I would recommend just, you know, brush up on some phrases, and generally you can just get by. It's actually not that bad. If you learn Japanese, which is kind of a fun language to learn, it is you know, very helpful to know. Reading Japanese can be very, very helpful as well. There's just signs everywhere. All right, you are a steelhead trout. I misidentified the fish. There we go. New biggest fish, 6 pounds. But another thing that's intimidating, and this has nothing to do with Japan, the country. It's all about its actual location. Is Japan is really far from most places, especially Europe and the United States. Most of my viewers from that part of the world. And so me coming from Minneapolis, it's a 12-hour flight. Technically, the airline listed it as 14. I don't know if we just got lucky with like the jet stream at that time of year or what, but I'm gonna change it to the drop shot now so we can get some of those other fish. I don't know if it was the time of year or what, but it ended up being 12 hours, which thank God, because when we left, we got stuck on the tarmac. Oh, I gotta get away from shore. We got stuck on the tarmac for like 2 hours because after we had boarded the plane and we were supposed to leave, and then they were like, "Oh, there's a problem. Our de-icer." It wasn't even that it wasn't functioning. It was the sensor that was supposed to tell them it was functioning wasn't working. So they couldn't tell whether or not the de-icer was working or not. And, you know, fair enough. It does seem like something you'd probably want. Short head, red horse. It does seem like something you'd probably want functioning, right? I think we have to switch to the little guppy. And then what do you like? The spinner bait. Okay. Right there. So we had to wait for them to do that. And then they replaced the part. And then the thing that actually took the longest was, this has devolved into me complaining about the airlines. The thing that took the longest was actually them getting like a signature saying the work had been done, which was just like the most mind-boggling thing. There we go. Right into the boat. The tiniest fish, though, is 1 ounces. That's crazy. All right, we're going to the other side of the lake to see what the other fish is out here. So anyway, all that happened. We were 2 hours delayed, and then we finally got underway, and then, you know, the flight took 12 hours. Longest flight I've ever been on. So that was an experience. Obviously, this doesn't work for everybody, because not everybody has means to upgrade your flight seating. However, if you do have the capability to do so, or if you luck out, and sometimes this happened to our friends who traveled to Japan, they got on the list for like, if somebody cancels at the last minute or can't make their connecting flight or something like that, there's like a short list of people. I forget what they call it. It's like on standby or something like that. But they'll call you and be like, hey, do you want to upgrade your seat? And it's usually pretty cheap comparatively if you had bought it up front. Oh, it's a rock bass. You also like the drop shot. Okay. Let's jump back up to the Maple Scout and then grab the drop shot here. So anyway, if you can do that, that's a good way to upgrade, you know, for cheaper. Whoa, what is this giant fish down here? Are you a rock bass? You know, that must be the dude who likes the spoon bait, I bet. Come on. You know you want it. There we go. Yes! Right into the boat. Easy. All right, we're going after that big fish now. So anyway, if you can upgrade your seat, highly, highly recommended. We didn't go for the top tier seat on the plane. So Minneapolis is a Delta hub. So we were flying a Delta flight out of Minneapolis. We had the Comfort Plus is what they call it. It's like middle. It's not first. It's not quite first class. It's like a step above. It's like a step above coach. But the seats were really nice. Like bigger by a fair amount. They did give us pretty decent food. And there was free alcohol if that's important to you. 11 pounds. The burbot is a big fish. Oh, and we've got our boat is full. So anyway, we did that, and that was well worth it. The one thing that I kind of would like to do in the future, when maybe we have, you know, more disposable income, or just kind of as like a like a one-time splurge in your life, is so Delta has this thing called Delta One. And I don't know if, I'm sure other airlines have their own version of this, but we did great. We filled out we've maxed out the Timberjack's line strength. I think I want to go max line strength on everything here. Just to make sure our 1250, okay. Just to make sure our lines can handle whatever's coming our way from a fishing perspective. So anyway, Delta One it's like lying down little cubbies. So you can you have like your own little pocket dimension inside the airplane, and you can fully lie down if you want. You get your own little TV. So that's like one time in my life I would love to. Oh, do you see those big red horses? Dude, we're going after those guys at some point. Whoa, that guy just straight up jumped out of the water. I'm trying to find that giant burbot we saw. So anyway, I would love to do that, but after a 12-hour flight, it was pretty rough. The thing that was tricky about it, because of the 2-hour delay when we went to Japan, we were supposed to get to Japan kind of at like between 2 and 3 p.m. It went right by that guy's face. Did I misremember what you like? The spoon bait. Is that not what I'm using? It is the spoon bait. Is that a different fish? Let's try to go right in front of him and see if I get his attention. Yeah, this will be right in front of him. So if this doesn't get his attention. Oh. So we were supposed to arrive like between 2 and 3, but because of the delay, we ended up in the middle of Tokyo, Haneda Airport, in the middle of rush hour. And we were taking the train to the north side. Legendary catch! Whoa! The trophy weight burbot. Legendary slime belly is what that achievement was. So that's fun. So we were in the middle of rush hour, and we were taking the trains to the north side of Tokyo, and Haneda is on the south side of Tokyo. So we had 2 carry-ons for each of us. And we were just jammed in with all the people coming home from work, and I just felt like a real butthead. Which was kind of funny in hindsight. At the time, I was kind of mortified because I was like, oh, God, they hate me. But then nobody makes any eye contact with you. They're just kind of like, whatever. And And that's just kind of how Japan is. People just kind of mind their own business. Like, they will judge you if they think you're doing something stupid or you know, rude or out of order, but nobody's ever going to confront you about it. It's not like America where people get in your face for no reason. Not all the time, obviously, but you know those people. You've seen them at the bar. Trying to get these red horses to bite. There we go. Can I just crank this guy right into the boat? Sure can. I guess that's what happens when you upgrade the line. 5-pound fish, nice. But anyway, we finally got to our hotel and we checked in. We got there fairly late because it took a while to get to the airport. We had to get our pocket Wi-Fi. If you're asking me for like tips on how to travel in Japan though, like pocket Wi-Fi, I really liked it. I thought it was really, really helpful. Basically, you just have like a Wi-Fi hotspot that connects to the cell network in Japan. And then the nice thing is because it was me and my wife, is both of us could just connect to the same hotspot. Whereas, some people like to switch out the SIM card and then you can connect to the phone network in Japan instead of having to have your little Wi-Fi guy with you. But then you have to get 2 SIM cards if you want to connect 2 phones. The nice thing about the SIM cards is you don't have to be next to each other with the Wi-Fi hotspot. Because my wife did point out at one point where she was like, if I go to the bathroom and you get lost, like, I can't find you. Although there is plentiful free Wi-Fi in Japan, so it'd probably work out. But it was just kind of funny to think about. But yeah, Japan, highly, highly recommend. If you like history and exploring a culture, assuming you're Western European, probably Eastern European as well, and American, very, very different culture than our own. Highly recommend for that reason. It also is very cool just to have access to plentiful, like, amazing seafood. We want to go for I want to go for these big steelhead down here, so let's get the spinner bait. The food in Japan, for some people, probably even for me, beyond the food, I loved learning about the culture and the history of Japan's past, which they've done a great job of like preserving for the future generations. But the food itself would be enough for me to go to Japan. Like, amazing, amazing food. And my wife often goes to these work conferences where she meets a lot of people that she doesn't really know all that well. It's, you know, work acquaintances. It's honestly beyond like even work acquaintances. It's like just like people she's never really met before, and it's all about like networking and stuff. But, you know, you meet a lot of people in those kind of things that you just do not gel with at all. But she met a guy who was like talking about how he went to Japan and like Japan was cool, but he's like, I just could not find anything to eat in Japan. And I'm just like, are you insane? Even if you're like the pickiest eater in the world, there's so much good food in Japan. And it's like, it's so diverse too. Like, I know a lot of people in my life that don't really like seafood. I'll understand that. If you're like, I don't like sushi, I don't really like fresh seafood, not really for me. That's fair. But there's like so many rice dishes, like all the curry and all the noodles, like ramen and soba and udon noodles, and it's just, there's so much food in Japan that isn't fish, and the fish is amazing. So I think you're wrong about the seafood as well, personally. But if you don't like seafood, I'm not going to hold that against you. Well, I'll hold it against you a little bit, but there's other food. And it's so good. Like, you can get such American food in Japan as well. They like to make American style food. It's kind of like a fun thing. They'll make I kid you not, Japanese spaghetti, look it up. It's like its own version of spaghetti. Like, you know how in Italy they have their own version, like how traditional pizza is made, like a margherita pizza. In in America we have like, you know, our Detroit style or deep dish or whatever, New York style. That's very American pizza. In Japan they have their own version of spaghetti, and it's heavily based on ketchup, which is very funny. But you can also get, like, there's restaurants, and we went to one where the whole purpose of the restaurant was to just serve different kinds of spaghetti. And I ended up with like a buttered noodle spaghetti. I think that might not be a steelhead. I think that's the burbot, which we need to use a spoon bait for. Trying to get this steelhead's attention. So the spaghetti, go get spaghetti if you're like, I don't like any Japanese food. But there's so much other good food, like yakiniku is just fried meat, and one of the dumplings, gyoza. But one of the things that we had that I'd never had before that was kind of a fun new experience for us is something called soup curry. So Japanese curry is kind of its own version of curry. There's a lot of curries in Asia. There's Indian curry, there's Chinese curry, Thai curries, all sorts of curries out there. I think I might need to go up to the heavy even. So lots of different types of curries out there. But Japanese curry is like, it comes in like a block of brown spice. Did I misremember what the burbot likes? You do like the spoon bait. The burbot is a feisty fish. It doesn't always want to bite the bait. Oh, I think I got his attention. There we go. Come on. Take it. There we go. But soup curry, it's this, like, take Japanese curry you'd normally serve with just like rice and stuff. But we went to this restaurant that specialized in soup curry, which was like, basically imagine kind of like a goulash that's a bit more watery, but it's cooked like all day with all of the ingredients in it. So it had like a whole chicken in the dang pot. We didn't get the whole chicken, but like he ladled out like a leg for me. And then like there's rice, there's some lotus root, because normally is kind of harder to chew, but because it had been cooking all day, it was really, really soft. $250, man. Dude, that's pretty sick. Are there any places we haven't identified all the fish? Oops. Where did I end up? We're at the underwater meadow. Okay, let's pop in on Rusty here. So yeah, soup curry, amazing stuff. Gyoza is like, you know, dumplings steamed or fried. One of my favorite things in Japan. Just amazing food. Lots and lots of food. I actually had far less ramen in Japan than I probably should have. I've had it one time for like we were there for like 2.5 weeks. But the ramen was very good, but I probably should have gotten more. We did have sushi several times. The sushi was amazing. We had soba. The soba was at this little restaurant on the 4th floor of like this commercial building. You had to enter a jewelry store, go through the jewelry store to the back where there was an elevator. You take the elevator up to the 4th floor where you get spat out into the lobby of this restaurant. And it was completely empty at the time. It was just me and my wife. And we ordered and we got like, we had like each had a carafe of sake, chilled sake. And if you want to try sake, there's something called Gekkaikan, which is like a specific type of washed rice. I think it's been washed several times to make it a lot cleaner. When I've had sake in the past, it was not this type of sake, and it wasn't my favorite, but I absolutely love this, and I actually have like my own bottle now because I'm obsessed with it. But yeah, this place did soba noodles, and we were the only people there, and it was like $15 per person, and we ate so much that like we could barely like function afterwards. It was amazing. Getting sweet on them trout, aren't you? Once you hook one, it's like trying to eat just one chip in the bag. Good luck. Plenty more where that came from. They're biting easy over at Picnic Point. Did you just give me a new place to go? Oh, yes. bluegill, sunfish, tiger trout, and an unknown. Well, we obviously have to go to Picnic Point now. Do you have any more secrets, Rusty? You do. Okay, we'll come back and check with Rusty in a bit. Yeah, food was amazing. One of my favorite experiences in Japan, outside of like, we went to so many like historical things, like there were castles and tons of temples and things like that. But one of the things that was like kind of a treat, but very Japanese, was going to onsen country. So Onsen, and it's a hot spring. So Japan is very volcanic. It's a volcanic island. And when it's just west of Tokyo is Hakone, is a region, and there are tons and tons of hot springs there. These fish are huge. Do you like the drop shot? No. All right, I gotta check out what that fish is. But yeah, so just southwest of Tokyo is the Hakone region, and there's tons of hot springs there. And it's kind of like the whole reason you go there is you can go to the traditional inn is called a ryokan. They kind of like keep the old style of inn where they have tatami mats, and it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Some of them go for like the full futon, roll out the bed experience. Some of them have Western style beds. But we went to this place that our friends recommended that had private onsens in each room, which was pretty expensive. But the nice thing is you can go in them and, you know, this is probably more of an American thing, being nervous about being naked in front of strangers. I know Europeans don't care as much about that kind of stuff. I've actually realized as I've gotten older, I care less and less, because I'm like, I've seen all this stuff before. And it's not mixed, it's not co-ed. So you're just, you know, looking at other guys. The thing is, if you're there with your spouse or whatever, it is nice to be able to spend time together, because most of the onsens in Japan are segregated by gender. So if you're like, there's a couple, it's a little bit like, I'd rather be hanging out with you. So having an onsen in your room was amazing. Like, you just wake up in the morning, hop in your hot spring, and sit in there for like 20 minutes, or as like long as you could handle the heat, because it was very hot. It's volcanic water. And then you take like a really cold shower. We got really into that when we were in Iceland, as we learned this like cold plunge ritual where you get really, really hot in either a sauna or a hot spring, and then you jump in this ice cold water, and then you just do it back and forth. I know whenever I tell people about this, they think I'm crazy, and maybe that's true. But it is a fun experience. Spinnerbait, bobber. Okay, so let's spinnerbait it up. See if we can't catch a whopper or two. I think this is the wrong size rod. I'm gonna crank this one back in here. Yeah, pull it up to the timberjack here and see if we can't catch a big fish right at the end of the episode. So yeah, if you're going to Japan and you do like hot springs or like a hot tub or whatever. Oh, I got stuck on a rock. There's a rock over there. Well, that's new. Maybe I need to turn the boat around. Can I get your attention? Are you the thing that likes the bobber? No, that's the bluegill. You guys have to like this. Oh, that guy likes it. Oh, got him. He's going straight to the bottom of the lake. Highly, highly recommend the Hakone region, though. It's a lot of fun. You can spend a lot of time. There's places that do more of the public bath style hot spring. And then there's all the way up to the places that do have like the private onsen in each room. Obviously, the prices may vary, but it was a great experience for me and my wife. One thing that I do want to make time to mention this at the end of the episode here, and feel free to ask me questions about it in the comments or whatever, because I love talking about Japan. But we spent so much time in there. It's hard to remember everything we did. But one of the things that was really, really cool is we did go down to Hiroshima, which is pretty far south from Tokyo. It's like our rod is like not making noise anymore. There we go. It was like it's not making noise and it's weirding me out. But we did make time to go down to Hiroshima. It's like a 4.5-hour train ride by bullet train, so a bit of a hike. But we wanted to go down because that's where the Atomic Bomb Museum is, and like the International Atomic Peace Park. And it's a very sobering experience. Obviously, you should know what you're getting into when you go to the museum. It's all about how the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and basically the ongoing fallout / trauma due to that. I was going for that big fish, sir. The fact that you took the bait is very rude. But if you have the time and the means to get down there, I would very, very much recommend it. Obviously, I'm not a very I'm not a pro-war person. I feel like you should never be pro-war. I feel like there are better ways to try and solve things. Obviously, I'm also not a completely naive. You can't always avoid war, especially when somebody wants it to happen and you don't want to be pushed around. But I've never been I was never like I never really had a super strong opinion on nuclear weaponry. Obviously, like they're scary, and in general I was just kind of like, well, I'd rather not have them exist. But after going to the museum, it was definitely like these should not exist. they're the stuff that happened, like the amount of devastation that they can wreak upon people in such a very short amount of time, and the lasting effects they have on people and places and things. It's just like it's truly horrible. And if you have the time to go, I would highly recommend it. It very much feels like if you've ever gone to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., it's very much that kind of experience where you learn a lot and you feel, at least for me, it very much kind of, I came away from it feeling a lot stronger about something than I hadn't in the past. So I did want to take some time to kind of plug that museum because it was a very cool experience. It was, it's tragic to read about, but I also think very important. But Hiroshima itself also very, very beautiful city on the water on Hiroshima Bay. And the weather there was super nice. We took a boat ride out to Miyajima, I think was the name of the island and the shrine. And that was just a fun experience. They had like semi-tame deer that were like terrorizing everybody there. It was just a fantastic, fun time. Also, one thing I wanted to mention. Oh, you must be the whitefish? You must be. So I'm going to try the wacky worm here one last time. A little bit of a longer episode for fish catching. Where's my wacky worm at? There it is. So there's a food in Japan called okonomiyaki, which yaki is fried, and I can't remember what okonomi means, but I feel like it's like it roughly translates to like everything, or something like that. I can't remember. Now I'm gonna sound like a fool, but anyway, the name of the food is okonomiyaki, and basically the general idea of it is it's a shredded cabbage with an egg-based batter, kind of pancake-looking thing. The thing that's great about it is on top of it just being a fried food that you fry on like a flat-top grill, is you can put like whatever you want in it. You can put seafood, you can put shrimp, I had Wagyu at one point, which is a really delicious steak that comes from Japan. And you can put whatever you want in it. And they have these It's got this specific sauce. It's like a brown, almost like a Swedish sauce, kind of like barbecue. It's not the same flavor profile as barbecue, but it kind of vibes that way. It uses Japanese mayo. There's these like fish flakes that you put over top of it, and then these seafood or seaweed flakes that you put on top of everything. It is an absolutely delicious food, and we had it in Osaka, which has its own version of it, and then in Hiroshima. And maybe, are you just not interested? I don't know what that fish is. You must be the lake trout. Why were you not interested in my spinnerbait before? Whatever. We're going to go back to the old shack. And maybe we can get some fish next time. But yeah, okonomiyaki. Hiroshima's okonomiyaki has soba noodles mixed in it. So yakisoba is like fried noodles on a grill. They fry the noodles and then put them in the okonomiyaki. It's absolutely delicious. It was like one of my favorite things. And there's a restaurant. It's beyond a restaurant. It is a building that has 3 floors of restaurants in it that they only do okonomiyaki. So it's like a building with like 20 different restaurants that have all of just making this one type of food. And it was such a funny, like, weird experience to go in there and just be like wandering around being like, oh, let's try this one or go try this one. We only went to one in the end because like we ended up eating so much, and I drank like 2 or 3 beers because usually when you have like fried food in Japan, you have a cold beer with it as well. And it was just a really fun experience. The people were really nice, and we got to eat like with other people that were just having a good time, and it was just I had a grand time. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I don't think I'm going to get... Oh, I got a bite. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here after we get this fish, or he gets away. One of the two. But if you guys enjoyed the episode, please click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more episodes of Cast and Chill or the other videos I have going on the channel, you want to see what the weird topic I talk about in the next Cast and Chill video is, you should subscribe to the channel. That also helps me out a lot. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!